All right, MVP, you're finally here, man. We heard about you for a while. I've been asking Scott Coker where you are, and they finally booked you. So how does it feel to be here in the U.S. and have be part of Fight Week again?
Yeah, no, it's great because Mohegan, I always say Mohegan sounds like a second home. I've been here so many times now. Even just bumping into some of the waiters and waitresses, and hey man, you're back again. It's just nice. It's nice. So and just in general, getting a fight, 100% great to be back.
For sure, man. Well, we're happy to have you back. And talk to me about the delay. Was there like visa issues or something? Was kind of what Scott said? Was that really the big hurdle here?
Yeah, the main thing was the visa because unfortunately, just before the whole COVID hit, I believe it was like the December time, we were starting to do the filing for the visa, and then the COVID hit in February, and then we've just had issues trying to get that sorted, and it's been obviously because in order to kind of get pushed forward in the front of the line for visa, a specific event has to be going on. But because of COVID, there's no real events, or it's all lastminute.com. So it was difficult. Obviously, I was fortunate to get the show in France, in Paris. So that was good to kind of get one back out. So yeah, now that's all sorted now. So I'm hoping to stay active.
Yeah, and Derek Anderson, the third time you guys have been booked, at least that we've known about. So are you happy to finally, it seems like, I don't want to jinx it, but cross this one off your list?
Yeah, no, definitely. Obviously, it was like, as you say, it's the third time in the making. The first time injured. The second time, I think he had an issue flying over because it was supposed to be in London. And now we're here, third time. So it was supposed to happen. It was always going to happen, and he's been doing really well in his career as well. So it was always bound to collide.
And having studied him for 3 camps or parts of camps, do you feel like you figured him out? You feel like you know the keys to victory here to beat him on Friday?
Yeah, and for like most of my opponents, it's just being me. I'm the most awkward person in there. I tend to be the tallest. I tend to have the most reach. I tend to be the fastest. I just need to use all of my attributes and to my advantage and just go in and just be me. And that's usually a lot of trouble for my opponents.
What do you think's at stake here? I mean, the rankings came out, which is something I want to touch on you about. Was you were at number 1, and then like 2 weeks later you went down to number 2 without anybody having fought. Did that kind of rub you the wrong way at all, or?
Yeah, it did, but and I felt it felt very almost tactical in the sense of, because we had already known about the fights that were coming, so we knew I never had the title shot, and it felt kind of like make the switch just so when we announce it that Amosov is classed as the number 1 ranking that's now going to be fighting for the title versus the number 2 ranking. I think it potentially would have had a lot of people asking that question. But it doesn't mean anything. I think rankings is all based on opinions anyway, and everyone's going to have different opinions. Same in the UFC. I remember going through the ranking systems in the UFC. We were just kind of talking about rankings with a friend of mine. We were going through the rankings in the UFC just to kind of compare, and there's a lot there that you would question there as well. So obviously it's great that people have numbers associated to their names now. I think that's a good thing. But there's always going to be reasons to question. So I feel like there's no point paying too much attention to that. It's more about just getting the fights out, winning, and moving up. It's all about the belt.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously you're still in a good spot at number 2 with number 1 fighting for the title. So do you feel like if you go out here and you win, you get that shot, you get the winner of Lima versus Amosov?
Yeah, I don't think I genuinely don't believe he wants to fight me. He's hoping somebody else does his dirty work. So I feel like he's gonna prolong.
Lima, you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I feel like Lima will prolong. If let's say he wins this fight and I win my fight, I think he's gonna prolong that space in between, and hopefully I get active again. And again, like I said, he's hoping somebody else does the dirty work, and then it bumps me further and further away from him. But yeah, I'm in all honesty, I just want to be active. So I'm I've kind of lost interest to a degree, but I know I will eventually, be in the cage again soon. So for me, it's just stay active, keep winning, keep beating everybody, and then we will collide soon.
And what has kind of tipped you off that he's avoiding you? Is it just like behind the scenes stuff, or something he's been saying in interviews, or? Yeah,
it's just a lot of stuff. I could go over it. There's a lot of different things. Should I say unchampion? Like it's weird to be at the top of the hill and then but pay so much attention to somebody else that's coming up. So it feels like I've unnerved him a little. But that just could be me looking from my perspective. It could be complete bull. We don't know. But what I'm saying is, for me, I'm just focused on myself, staying active, winning fights, and then eventually we will meet.
And I'm assuming that's obviously a rematch you want, with him being up 1-0 in the career head-to-head. So do you feel like you've made those adjustments where if you were to fight him again, that things would go differently?
Yeah, 100%. In all honesty, I felt like even during the first fight, I'd made the correct adjustments. I just made a couple of silly decisions that led to, again, when you're fighting somebody as high caliber as him, those small decisions can pay off big in the wrong way. And I think that's what it was. In all honesty, I don't see him changing too much of his style. It's worked for him for so many years. And again, he's an amazing fighter, very strong, crazy low kick power, just very, very good, well-rounded fighter. But I felt I had the game plan. I felt I was winning the fight up until that point. So it's a case of just making a few tweaks, and even just mentally staying a bit more focused during those kind of moments, because I had some good moments in that fight and I could have capitalized a bit more. But yeah, I already know what I'm looking to do when I get back. So that's why I want to make it happen.
And I recently watched, you put out a pretty lengthy interview on your YouTube channel that I saw some people talking about. And one of the things that seemed like people kept talking about was you kind of voiced some frustrations that you had with the promotion. You were hoping to work them out once you got here. Have you had those conversations yet, or do you think that will be something that comes after the fight?
Yeah, a lot of time. I think most of the time they'll do it kind of after, especially when we come out, we're weight cutting and so on and so forth. It's kind of, you don't want to mess with fighters at that time.
Sure.
So yeah, I feel like even if it's just after I've weighed in and stuff, it's rehydrated, you feel a little bit better about yourself, feeling a lot easier to kind of have these kind of frustrating conversations. But yeah, I'd like to sit at the table, have a chance to speak to them, and then go from there.
And maybe for people that didn't see it, like I guess the main thing for you was just kind of like the promoting of your fights, or maybe consistency of them booking you or something. Is that kind of what it was all about?
There's quite a few different things. There was quite a few different things that I'm still frustrated about. And I think, in all honesty, I feel like the reason I'm this frustrated is because I've always been a fan of Bellator. So take myself out of being a fighter for Bellator. I've loved the kind of journey that they've been going on. I love the growth that they've had. I love just the direction that they seem to be going in. And I don't agree with all the decisions that have been made. Obviously, I'm not in a position to make those. I'm just saying it's frustrating to see how things are going. So I think it's more those things that was kind of irking. So this is why I want to kind of have the conversations, air it out. At least if I say my piece, I've said it, and obviously they can ignore it completely. It doesn't matter. At least I can get it off my chest.
Yeah, and I thought that was a great interview. It was very real and very level-headed, good conversation. So definitely recommend checking that one out. But going along with that, something I've always wanted to ask you too, and I don't know if this is what you're touching on, like matchmaking, right? So I'm sure you've seen the comments like, oh, MVP hasn't fought so-and-so yet or whatever. Do you feel like people are unfair to you in that regard? Like, do you feel like that you could have got different matchups that you wanted on the way up? Is that part of this or
not?
Yeah,
loads of things that happen. There's so much that happens behind the scenes that people will never see, and there's no point putting it out. It just sounds like you're being sour about how things are going. So there's times when I've asked for certain fights and it hasn't kind of come to fruition, or for whatever reason. But like loads of stuff happens, and the people that I've ended up fighting is the people that I've ended up fighting. I have full respect for everybody in there, because I think everyone's dangerous. Like I said, it only takes a small mistake to change that, and then that person is no longer a Conn. It's the person that's just beat MVP. It's very different. So yeah, for me, I don't pay too much attention to that. A lot of the people that are talking that way are very uneducated in the sport. They haven't done the research on, if it's not a name that they know immediately, they haven't done any research to figure out who that person is. A lot of my opponents are ex-UFC or gone to UFC so they're all still doing really well, which shows their caliber of fight. I feel it's my fighting style that's a blessing and a curse. My fighting style it can almost make amazing fighters look not so good. So it's a blessing in terms of how entertaining it can be, but it's a curse with it tends to make my opponents seem like they're not on par. So that's kind of just what I have to deal with and what I kind of continue to put up with, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and it seems like people kind of get angry sometimes, like fans too, watching it, like saying that it's disrespectful or whatever. Do you always like, what have you ever thought of that? Like, is it just something like, it is what it is? Like,
Yeah, no, that
do you get
never,
a kick out of it, or?
Yeah, that never bothers me. It's weird because everyone picks and chooses what's disrespectful and what's not. So I could point out, let's say, knocking somebody down, and while they're completely KO'd, jumping on them and go. That could be classed as disrespectful. Nobody ever mentions that because in my fights, if I know it's finished, I tend to not jump on them. I don't think I've ever really jumped on anybody when they're down. I prefer to, even if you're still ready to go, I prefer to let you stand back up and then do it all over again. But it's just people will pick and choose what they class as disrespectful. Obviously, I come from a family of jokers. I'm so used to just cracking on it. That's just kind of my personality going through in my fighting.
Sure.
And 100% I have fun with it. But I say it as this: if anybody wants to stop it, then it's the fighters that need to deal with that.
It's effective.
It's
Bottom line.
effective.
Yeah.
It's effective.
Yeah,
So I'm always going to continue regardless of what people are saying.
I love it, man. And on Friday, last question: what do you think I'm going to see go down?
Yeah,
between you and Derek.
Man, I'm looking at. I've been working. I respect Derek a lot. He's a very tough, come forward fighter, and that can be very draining if you're on the other side of that. Especially if you're landing shots and you're like, man, this guy's still coming. It's demoralizing as well. But I've just been working, and we've just been working on guys just non-stop walking towards me, and me having a certain intensity for 15 minutes. So regardless, if he comes forward non-stop, he's gonna be in trouble. He's gonna be in a bit of a mess by the end of it. I don't think he's gonna look the same. So he's either gonna have to slightly adjust and take a slight back step, which is going to give me even more space to be more creative and do what I do best, or it's going to finish, or it could finish quite early. But yeah, that's how I see it going.
Awesome. MVP, I appreciate the time, man, and good luck.
Thank you so much.